Season two, when I was shooting, I went through the darkest time in my life
Oh shit.
so far. Yeah, I was homesick. We were shooting in a very safe world, cocooned, but we weren't able to hang out outside of work. Everyone was very isolated. I was experiencing my first winter in which I thought very naively and foolishly that vitamin D supplementation, red light, infrared treatment was all like a luxury and not a necessity.
Mm.
I got so depressed on top of homesickness, on top of just feeling alienated in a strange and foreign country. And I just totally lost my anchor and my grounding. And I was just like, oh my, this cannot be happening. And my whole body and like my face, I had this terrible cystic acne. I was getting injured. I ended up literally wrapping season two in a freaking wheelchair.
I remember you were saying that. I remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was like, if you can either see it as tragic or or some kind of cosmic comedy, because I think looking back I can kind of laugh about it now, seeing that
Back
it
then,
was
it was like
so
serious that back
it
then.
what it was so important that I went through that,
Mm.
because I think when you lose your ground, you've got to learn to find it again. And I started realizing, okay, I've like basically taken on the massive opportunity of like reinventing my life here in this new city. I remember my doctor saying at one point when he was going, I think what you're experiencing is depression.
Mm.
And I want you to know that, as the statistics hold, in terms of your where you are and what you're doing right now, immigrating to a new country and leaving your friends and family are, I think it's third to losing a loved one and going through a divorce. So he's like, you might not see your trauma or even recognize it as trauma. You
Exactly.
might not even see that as being like, because really what I was feeling was like, I need to be grateful. I'm so grateful to be working right now. I'm
Yeah,
so
but you lost
grateful.
all you lost all these things. You then plus COVID happened, the pandemic happened, which is still happening, and like
Well,
and you got shut
only
off, and like you don't realize how it affects you, and then, like you just don't because no one's
no,
ever people. You don't
well,
realize.
I was just trying to cling to my, I guess, my core, which is like Tally's core, which is like, just see the good, just see the good, just see the good. This is gonna be fine. This is gonna,
Yeah,
and I needed to just drop that. And I needed to actually really check in with myself and hold everything that I was feeling. I
exactly.
and I do tend to, you know, I know where I keep going amiss in my life still to this day, which is I'm just really hard on myself. And then I get really like almost like merciless about being grateful for what you have.
Yeah, because other people I
And
don't have the same opportunity. So you're like, if I'm not grateful, like I should be grateful because people don't get this. But then at the same time, you have to acknowledge if you don't acknowledge your own, your own trauma, your own feelings,
but
it's
yeah, so while you're feeling like, oh my gosh, this is too much, and you're going, okay, I'm gonna check myself. I need to be like, I'm an actor working in a global pandemic. We're one of like three shows that are allowed to shoot in Vancouver at this
yeah,
point in time. You know, this is just, we're so, so, so grateful. But at the same time, the whole world is rocked. Everyone is just like in a total state of chaos and then kind of like, what is happening?
exactly. Hmm.
That swell, it's like a current, it's like an inner current that just kind of knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah,
And I was just like insistent on trying to just breathe normal, like act like you're not winded, and I realized that I was just doing more harm than help.
yeah,
And that was really also again where Karina came in for me. Just to have somebody who's like a lighthouse and a facilitator, and more than just, a good friend, somebody who's really outside. of all of it, who I can just talk to about anything with, the storm, the fury, all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And um and walk myself home and remember that I know how, remembering that you know how to walk yourself home and that we're all just walking ourselves home and each other home. So yeah, I needed to go through that, then emerge into season three was like, set up to be totally different from what it became.
I'm glad, yeah.
And despite all the obstacles that we were presented emotionally, I was so anchored. I felt like I had earned that grounding from season two.
Yeah.
And you start realizing, you're like, trust in yourself is earned, and you earn it back in small acts and in small ways and day to day. We love to have it when it comes to trust and love and forgiveness. We all want these like swooping romantic Hollywood moments,
Yeah. Yeah.
but most of the time it just looks like patting yourself in the back, or holding silence with a friend, or pausing. Like I also huge, like in terms of leadership as well, like leading a TV show, or just leading your life in general, like we're all trying our best. It made me question, and back to Motherland's story is about kind of what can leadership look like in all its forms. And I loved Abigail's speech that she gives to the troops, where she's, your
Oh,
patriot army,
one of my favorite things.
that
One
character
time.
arc, that
Yeah.
character arc was so mwah, because oh, I got goosebumps, because we're seeing this girl in season one try and live up to the expectation of her mother and her family and ancestry and her legacy, and it's just all like crushingly heavy. And she is going, where am I in all of this? Like, who is Abigail Bellwether? Like, I just am a bellwether. I'm just this name, and what is in that name? What about my own voice,
Yeah.
my own
Not mine.
purpose? And how do I want to express myself in this world? And it was just, again, a full completion and like ownership, and that leadership looking not like we thought it would, with like her necessarily being part of the army. There she was, a fugitive on the run. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Like it
it
expected.
doesn't necessarily look like the package that's
Yeah, you have
constantly
like I
sold.
feel like Abigail probably had like a clear path in her life of where she wanted to go. She got there, but not in the way that she expected to. It was in like a completely different way, and that's why that speech was one of my favorite things on the show, because as you said, you got to see her development into that,
So
and it reminds
beautiful.
me of in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when she made that big speech in the last season to all like the potential Slayers, like because she was she was like 16 in the show when she first became the Slayer. Then like in the final season, she's become this
Yeah,
leader, and it's not in the way that she thought. The same with Abigail. Like it's just the path that she was on. She got where she wanted to, but not how she thought her
it's
life.
like finding a new way in,
Yeah, yeah,
finding.
a back door or
and
something like.
and you're always going to, it's not like you're going to find your way in necessarily. You're going to find new ways in continuously. Like you're never going to just arrive, but you can arrive in the moment, and you can make a choice in how you're going to step up and show up for it. So that was, and then the Rayella arc for me, in terms of like, just again, the lighthouse being a symbol of
Yeah,
safety and home.
yeah,
And the question I walk away with is just like, I've never really bought into the perpetuated narrative about like, you complete me. I don't think it's possible for another person to complete you.
yeah.
You are complete. You are
That's what
complete.
I've been saying. I
And
always.
it's something that I think is like cutely shared, but it's really, it's so Disney princess, like I can't even, and it's so soul destroying, I think, because there you are trying to be a half or think that you're a half when
Yeah.
you're a
Oh, you need
whole.
someone. Yeah. You need someone. You need a man to complete you. You need somebody else. Like,
No,
look for yourself.
no,
Like you're complete on, like you said, you're complete on your own. The person's just a bonus. If
completely.
they're just a bonus.
Yes,
You are complete
yes.
without somebody, or that's what I've been saying.
And
I say that all
Scylla
the time.
even Scylla even says Rael is my world, and she doesn't say that at the end. Her character needs to understand who she is without Rael, who
Mm,
she is without the spree. She needs to come into her power
mm,
of forgiving herself for everything that
exactly.
she has done.
Yep.
It's
Right.
the story of forgiveness.
Yeah.
And then for Ray as well, in terms of her rage and having had her wound be her mother's abandonment and supposed death and the betrayal of all of that, um, for her to come home to herself and to see that she is loved and can be alone and be loved. She isn't. I don't know. It's a complex conversation to just like try and like slow go it, but
Yeah.
it is for me about how their love triumphs and its redemption and its awesome display of forgiveness, because that's something I want more stories generated in the world about
I
forgiveness.
agree. I agree.
We
100%.
got a lot about it on Revenge. We got that note real good, real loud, real clear.
Literally.
This whole eye for an eye thing, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just like, I stand by, the writers like Richard Curtis, for instance. He's a screenwriter who wrote Love Actually, About Time, Notting Hill. Like he's given a hard time by a lot of critics about being too soft, like being too sentimental. And he's like, well, I'm sorry that I don't go, I stroll down my road on any given day and I go and sit myself on a beach and I'm not seeing a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
I'm seeing kids play, you know, maybe a couple squabble, but it's like, it's the simplicity and splendor of life that it looks all very simple, but there's so much there, that's so much welling beneath that
You don't
that's
see.
enough to talk about in 90 minutes in a feature.
Exactly. It's so
The
true.
best, like perpetuate, like, and Dan Levy says about Schitt's Creek, when he was asked, like, so as a gay man, what was your intention in writing this? And he was like, I'm writing a show about a world I want to live in. Why
Yeah.
would I write about homophobia when what I want is a world of just this beautiful love is love? I dig the what's his I dig the wine, not the label.
Yeah. Oh, that was my. So like, I'm a huge Schitt's Creek fan, and like, I didn't
Same.
know about the show, and then like, I remember like someone's like, you need to watch it. So it was on Netflix, and like, I binge watching. I'm like, I fell in love. I was like, this is just something incredible, and like Dan is just incredible. Yeah, another line, I like the wine, not the label, it was phenomenal, and like,
So I'm just going like, yes, put out, and that's what also Motherland. That's why I love the story.
yeah,
It was so captivating, and to see how not just like the tables turned, um, on like the gender dynamics. There were so many conversations that were being brought up,
yeah, and that's
and
what.
it was
Yeah.
not necessarily explicit. It was also implicit,
Mm.
and it just had that quality of living with you, living in you, and going, I can't help but compare and contrast to the world that I'm living in, and draw similarities but also draw differences. And I'm going like, okay, this is interesting. And playing Tally Craven, it was like I couldn't take on that role without actively finding her every day, and often that meant meeting me and going into, doesn't matter where I am on whatever day I'm going, yeah, I'm servicing the story, I'm here to do a job. It wasn't easy, but 4 years of putting on her boots. And man, it was just, now I just feel so hot. Like, I just feel open, like so expanded
Yeah.
because of where the story, the character, the people all took me. I couldn't have gotten to where I am now without them.
Yeah.
And that's really profound
Yeah. That's
because I
very
really,
fair.
I would like to say, oh, I would have gotten here just on my own freaking steam and hard work, but it's just not the case. Like, so many people have had so many stakes and hands and help that have, it's like we're all on each other's shoulders.
Yeah, you're lifting each other up, you're supporting each other. It's none of that. It's just all support,
Yeah.
and that's what it should be all the time.
And I hear the feedback like constantly, Adam. Like, I'm getting messages, emails going, I just need you to know I watched your show and I want you to thank you for your portrayal. Thank you for the cast and crew for Motherland. And I found the show at a time when, and then the letter really starts because the story that, and there's so many similarities. Like, I wish that everyone who sent me those messages could somehow have access to each other's stories because they can see how they are so not alone. But
Yeah.
it goes something like, the show found me at a point where I gave up my art. I stopped creating.
Mm.
I was lost. I didn't, I wasn't open to any relationship, or I was so lonely. I didn't have a community. When I read those, I feel like I want to say same.
Yeah.
Because I had a community. There were moments of terrible isolation creatively. I hadn't really found my posse yet in terms of just actors on actors who I could just be real with and
Mm.
not feel like, I don't know, like weirdly strained by, okay, well, we both do the same job, and maybe like maybe there's going to be like a weird competitiveness or comparison,
But why does that have
and
to
then
be that?
let's
Like,
like
why does
not
it have to
talk
be that?
about it.
Yeah, like, it's all very like hush hush, like we don't need to speak about this or like, but like why? Like, why does it have to be competitive? Why does it? Why?
I
Like,
think, I mean, look, in South Africa, like, it's hard. Like, I know that the thing that I've had to work on, especially immigrating to a different hemisphere and moving to a different country, um, the mindset that I was conditioned to have was very much coming from scarcity. Like, there's a lot, that South Africa has to give. It's abundant in so many ways, but there's also a lot of scarcity. And I realized through, I guess, unconscious habitual behavior and patterning that I was living a small game. I was not wanting to be too bright and too daring, like, especially with dreams. I was like always trying to be realistic and being like, okay, how does this make sense that I'm an artist in South Africa? Like, I gotta get real, I gotta earn money, and I gotta just like, yeah, this can just be a hobby of mine. And I remember having a lot of like stern chats to myself about that. And there was just something about, I don't know, the right people at the right time kept finding me whenever I defaulted back to that thinking.
mm,
And they were like, you're shortchanging yourself.
yeah, it was
And you might,
fine. It
I
was
think you've lost sight of yourself, but I see you. I see you. And every time a person, whether it was Matthew Harrison at the Actors Foundry, who gave me the opportunity to come and study with him for free in Vancouver back in 2016, or whether it was my first agent, Erica Van die Kerk, who took me on when no agent in Cape Town wanted to take me on because I was still studying,
Yeah.
to my first student film um, with Frankie Stromberg. It was like a 1 minute, and I just think back to all of the firsts for some reason, but I go, wow, every time I withdrew, I was like a tide kind of ripping back into
Yeah,
myself.
like no,
There
no,
was always this person standing on the shore going, hey, come back in, come
you're
back in.
yeah, you're going too far out. Yeah. 100. No, this so I can relate to this so much because like there have been times where like when I do my YouTube videos or whatever, and I'm just like, it's like, is this can I do this? Like, can this become like a thing? Or like, yeah, I got my daytime job, whatever, and then I do it's my YouTube's like the hobby, but I'm like, can I do this really? Like, can this become like a real thing for me? And it's like, I got dreams, whatever, but like it's just there was just this, there's all the hate that that comes with being online, like, and all that stuff. But like, it's just hearing you speak about all that. It's just like the similarities. I can relate to this. It's just
I think we have to talk about it because like Brené Brown, I don't know if you know her work and in Shame and Vulnerability, but like her work also gave me a lot of orientation and understanding how there's a difference between privacy and secrecy.
Wow.
What you have to keep secret is what you're shamed about. And shame grows in secrecy. And it's not it's something that needs to be shared if you're going to take back the power. Your energy goes into keeping others' secrets or keeping your own, but there's so much release and so much healing and so much of the feeling of, oh wait, what, I'm not alone, oh my gosh, you feel the same way, I
Yeah,
understand, I understand, that we can just air out all of the stagnant places.
that's
you
it.
know
You speak about it. How if don't if that's why if you don't have these kinds of conversations, that's why I always love to like have a chat with whoever I'm talking to or whatever, and it's just like let's get into that stuff because like normally people don't talk about that. Like it
well,
was
look at
oh,
you, I
whatever,
mean,
and
you
like
literally, your art, what you're creating is the art of conversation and moderation. So few people do it and do it so well.
yeah.
I'm in awe because what you do is you hold space and you listen with such inquisitiveness. You're devoted to inquisitiveness and going like, I want to understand. And it's a beautiful way to be with somebody, and you're showcasing it because it brings you joy and it's what brings your heart mad delight. Why not share it? Like, I guess that's where I just taking you as an example, you're going, well, if Adam can do it, why can't I share what I want to know? And it's often like that. It's just sharing what you want to know. And maybe what you care about. You can reveal that, knowing that probably that will change.
Exactly.
But I was always so hesitant and so clean about my socials in terms of, like, I'm never going to reveal my private life. I'm never going to reveal much about myself in terms of my values, and the fundraiser already challenged all of that because I could feel the need for someone to step up, and I was like, I really want to do that for Karina. And I've got this amazing embrace of a community, and I was like at the door, like metaphorically speaking,
Yeah.
going like, if I knock and I say
Yeah,
and I
you're
ask,
there, about to knock. You're like,
like
"Can I do
about to
it?"
knock
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
going
yeah,
like, they've given me so much.
yeah.
Who am I to ask for more? And also, who am I to be an ambassador of an organization when I'm not the founder of it? Like, who am I to, I'm just some white woman Instagram, white woman, white woman Instagram. Thanks, boy woman. But yes, I get it. Like, I get yes, I didn't want to confuse what it was. And so it's just like, wow, okay, let's take a step back and let's like be at the door. And I love how Amanda Palmer puts it in her book of Art of Asking. It's like you've got your hand outstretched,
Yeah.
and there is an art to asking. And of course, when you ask, there's, you know, a chance of rejection, more than a chance, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's never going to feel good. And you want to protect, you know, want to be self. There's some self-preservation that kicks in where you're like, why would you expose yourself to no? Like,
Yeah,
don't
yeah. You're
even
like, oh
take the
shit.
risk.
And then you spiral because you're like, oh my God, they said no to me. Like, for example, like, when I reach out for people to, do interviews and, you get no, you're like, oh, you feel shit about it for a bit. But then I'm like, maybe it wasn't meant to be. Like, it is what it is. Like,
What it
try
is.
again another time or like,
But it would have
like,
haunted you if you had not asked.
exactly.
Guarantee. And
Oh
you would
yeah,
not,
because at least I know. It's like, okay, to know. Okay, cool. It wasn't
right?
meant to be this time. Cool. Like,
So why are we scared of no's when we are actually released by it? Where we go, oh, okay, no, that's cool. I get it. Thank you so much. Thank you for
yeah, because
responding.
people are
You
scared
know?
of rejection. They're scared of the answer they're gonna get. They're like, but
Yeah.
again, if you don't ask it, you're not gonna know. Like, but it can apply that to
And
everything.
then when you receive, and that reception is so much more than you could ever, like like what you think about generosity. If you're trying, if you have even a vague expectation of it, the tenfold mind-blowing, heart-exploding reception just fills you in a way that reminds you, go, oh, right, this is why you ask. This is why you have to continuously be open to the world. Even if there's pain and there's the no's and the rejections,
There's that. There's
there's
that thing, and
also
you wouldn't know. Yeah, you wouldn't know, and if you didn't ask, and if you, and now you did, and you have this beautiful thing, and it's just helping so many people. It's amazing. Like the whole thing is just.
But I'm seeing also like, just, we also knew we didn't, we're going like, just please, um give, contribute, collaborate in whatever way. Like, we're just,
Yeah.
it's a donation fee. A little goes a long way. But any kind of action, any kind of, whether that's a share or a conversation that sparked,
Like just talking about whatever, because some people might think, oh my God, I can't donate, I feel bad, oh my God, because I want to help. I'm like,
not about,
donate. It's not
no,
about that. It's just openly having those conversations, sharing and everything. It's not about, if you can donate, you donate, cool. But like, it's not about that. It's about the conversations.
I
And
just, and if anything, like, if that's all we have, may we never feel like beggars at the table when we're so rich. We have so much inheritance, and the inheritance is in our ability to be able to share. And we are really only impoverished in our minds in the way that we think that we have nothing of value to offer.
yeah.
And that has been my greatest take home from this fundraiser, is just like knowing that, man, never forget, and we have this forgetfulness as humans. Like, we forget our values, we forget our sense of direction, purpose, place, power.
You get lost sometimes.
We get lost.
You get lost. And it's I feel like it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
Yes, and
Like,
to talk about it,
exactly.
and to then go, how can we take responsibility and ownership and the next step.
Exactly.
So yeah, all of that and more is why I did the fundraiser. And then for it to have been for it to be, sorry, continuing, because it's still only 4 weeks. We're like, is it 10,000 a good goal to have in 8 weeks? Yeah, that sounds like a good amount of time.
Yeah. And
Like,
what are you
we're
on now?
trying to strategize.
What are we on now?
I can't. So I can't. I'm not allowed to legally
Oh,
declare
okay.
We have surpassed, though.
That's amazing. Because you wouldn't have, if you don't think you're like, you wouldn't expect it. You're like, I will start this thing, and then you just the outpouring of love from everybody. You're just like like, and that's why it's important. That's why you get those messages saying, thank you for this, and you have that support from everybody. Because again, like we'll bring it back to Motherland, where it's like you don't have TV shows like that. People see themselves in that, or like, and they want to like help in any way they can, and it's just you build that community up, and that's why that's what drew me to the show in the first place. It was just that sense of community, really. That the found family, pretty much.
And then to find that outside of the show, that this fundraiser has nothing to do with the show, and yet so much to do with the show, because there's so many of the same conversations about longing to belong, seeds of one song.
Yeah, that's true, because people, they struggle to belong. They don't know where they fit in sometimes, and that's why. And look, I'm gonna bring it back to Todo again because like it's in my head.
Bring it back to Todo. Bring it back to Todo.
That's why the photo. But that's why the photo of you two of you guys kissing. That's everyone was screaming and crying, but it was the fact that the kiss represented the fans that people were like, oh, it's not gonna be canon, or like having you and Lynn who care so much about this non-canon ship. You don't get that, and that representation is important.
That I've been educated. I had to have this conversation with one of the fans, because I didn't think Lynn and I grasped at the moment. We were just going, of course we're interacting with our audience, like duh, why wouldn't you? And I was just so loving all of the tweets, the live tweeting and the engagement. It was so satisfying. It was something that I'd never experienced before on any other other project that I'd been a part of. The kissing booth was kind of crazy. There was like a bout of craziness, but there wasn't that like deep interaction that I got from these live tweets. And then actually, then the convention, the QFX convention changed. It took it to a whole different level.
Because you got to meet those people, right?
Getting to meet people.
Yeah, you get to meet people. Yeah, it's one thing to have online, but then in person, it's totally different, because you're like, oh my God. It's like, it's in a way, it's like, I feel like sometimes you don't realize there are real people behind the tweets. You see the tweets, oh yeah, but you don't realize it. There are
Adam, 100%. Like, this is exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, you have, at big last dot whatever, and you're going like, you're not. You just get a tag, and you're hashtagging, which is like bumper stickering, and you kind of there's so much distance between that you're going like, okay, well, this isn't really a conversation. This is more like me just putting something out into an echo chamber, and like maybe that ricochets off of something. I don't know, but like it doesn't feel at the time like that would actually lead to anything. I knew at that convention, if I was not going to physically be there, I said to my team, I'm like, pull out all the freaking stops. I am going to be there virtually. And they were all like, okay, we understand, but just like explain to us like why this means so much to you. And I'm like, guys, our show has gone for 3 seasons because of our audience. You don't know, because you've not been live tweeting. You do not know the quality of audience we have. Like, this isn't like
it's not. I know what
I want to say normal, but I know this is exceptional. That's
the word. It's not a normal show. It's not a normal. It's not a normal not a normal show.
I am meeting a few of these people, and I want the human to human interaction. Like, I've been craving that, because I have this feeling that I've kind of been looking for them. And like, we can have some really meaningful conversations. It's like, I need to be there. I just felt super clear about it. And I'm quite a indecisive person, but when I get hit with clarity like that, I'm going, I know what I need to do. It's like what the fundraiser was. I was like, I know.
Yeah, I'm doing this. That's it. There's nothing on stopping me from doing this.
Nothing stopping me.
Yeah.
And it just, man, I mean, and then I remember it's like seconds before you know, meeting with my first person, I had this fear kick in, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe what if this is going to be strange? Like, what if this is going to be like a weird interaction, and I'm not going to have anything to say, and I don't know, like, what's going to happen? And then the first person came up, and it was the most wholesome. I
Wow.
was crying, laughing. It was 3 minutes of like just going, don't leave, just stay.
Yeah, you sort of just don't go anywhere. Like, oh my God. Yeah, yeah.
Shared our life story in 3 minutes, because I do believe that the connection works like that. It's a funky alchemy. It doesn't work on time.
Yeah, no.
Time actually plays very little to do with that. It's like, have you ever had a true glance from a stranger from across the street? And that's all it's been, just a look. But in that look, there was so much that you can have felt like you lived a little lifetime.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. There's just like a whole like there's a whole story behind them, and you just like you can tell that there's just like there's so much depth, and you're just like, yeah, like
When
yeah.
you meet somebody and you go, oh my gosh, you are a whole universe, you're a world within a world within a
They're a whole,
world.
you know, they're a whole person. Like they have a whole life. They have all these things. You're just like, holy shit, like
And the complexity, and
yeah,
yeah, I mean, and then to have obviously like the common denominator be the show, that the show brought us together,
yeah.
and it all just feeling so not accidental and so kind of ordained, or like destiny.
Like this was meant to happen, you know?
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
As cliche as that sounds, but it's so true. And I just see like this being, it's just a self-sustaining thing. And this is kind of really the art that I belong to now, is the heart of the community has been really the creme de la creme of the show. It's surpassed the show because it's become a life force of its own.
Yeah.
And I really just deeply, deeply thank Taylor Hickson for, wrangling. I remember her wrangling our group WhatsApp chat, going, guys, this is the strategy. We are going to interact virtually on Twitter. We're going to live tweet with the episodes. We're going to get a link. And that's how we're going to show up for our audience. And we're going to build an audience base. And we're going to push our show forward, because our press tour was cancelled day one. And
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just, we had South by Southwest, we had like our whole convention was going to be, it was just extravagant. Freeform had pulled out all the stops. It was going to be
Yeah.
so glamorous and so cool. And then on our way to New York, it was cancelled.
That would have been so like gut wrenching, like a year. Like you're trying to promote this was season one, right? You're promoting the show and
Season
everything.
one,
Season one.
new show. It's
Yeah.
not based off a book. It's not based off
Yeah,
anything,
it's
right? Like you
completely
kind
new.
of,
No one knows about this. It's you can't. They don't even have like the pre-fan, like the book fans. There's nothing. Like there's
no. And here we are with Charmed and Sabrina, and we're going like, we need to stand out. And of course, we know what we have. We have something that no one else has. Like I haven't seen a show like it. I haven't seen the portrayal of the symbol of the witch like it. We are so amped to be as loud and, you know, as proud as possible.
yeah,
And yeah, man, it felt like total deflation. But of course, the whole world was closing down. So it wasn't so much like, oh, poor us. It was just like, okay, this is
yeah. It was for everybody. Yeah,
exceptional
yeah,
times. What is going to happen? But I just loved that. I think as the fear was creeping in and the reality was settling in, that Tay was like carrying the torch, and she was like, this is it. And this is why I love creatives as well. It's just like constant need to adapt, 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 adapt. You
yeah.
have to. And you got to do it together,
Exactly.
strength in numbers. And your strength is not going to be my strength, is not. And that's the point of it, and to delegate and to trust each other and to trust yourself and to just rumble with it. So, yeah, thank you, Tay. You just
No,
opened my world,
he's
baby.
a warrior, but a
My
warrior.
duckling.
Because it's good
So
to have that sense of community. Like, it's good that you guys got to, go online and do the live tweets and you have like the watch parties. Like, that's the engagement. That's what people, that's what it's so good to see. That's why I had to avoid my timeline every Wednesday because I was like, shit, like I'm going to get spoiled because everyone's like live tweeting and I need to like not look online until I watch the episode so I don't get spoiled. But
I know that was the one thing. It's like if we live tweet in this time zone, aren't we like wrecking it for the rest? But yeah, I mean, look, I think we constantly would just like, let's just show up. I think the showing up is really what counts.
Yeah, it's
more.
it's the most important thing.
And for all of us to have just rocked up also showed, I think it was evident in itself how we felt about each other, but how we really felt about the story. And
you're passionate about it. And
I know that isn't always a given, man. Like sometimes you take jobs for a paycheck or you want to work with a particular person, but the story is like, yeah. And in this case, it was just like everyone's just love and push for it. Just, it shone through.
Yeah,
and
because
so
it was to be seen, and it was like it would have been a shame if it wasn't seen because it's such a
heartbreaking.
Yeah. That's what drew me to
what
the
would have
show.
been what I don't even want to talk about this reality, but you need to understand, like in the world of industry and entertainment and Hollywood biz, baby, it's like how many pilots don't go, they don't get greenlit. So the fact that we got picked up, the fact that we then went for season 1, the fact then that a global pandemic happened and our season 2 and 3 happened, it was just like,
especially a lot of representation too, because normally shows with representation don't really go for very long because I never felt canceled or whatever. But the diversity, the representation, again, like it's rare that things like that go for that long, really. And it's sad.
We don't get any closure. We don't get any. We're not, we don't have that kind of information as to why those things happen. But even rarer is the arc completion. And I did say this, and when Elliot broke the news to us, we were all on a Zoom chat with him, and there was just this silence that followed his announcement that this will be the final 3rd season. When everyone was just like sinking into that. And then he went around the circle and was like, you guys want to share and talk about how you're feeling? And through tears, we were all like, sucks, but this is an opportunity as well to make the best season that we can. And there is going to be so much savoring and integrity in making this. That we get to complete our character arcs, that we get to really make a home run for this show. It doesn't have to now end on a cliffhanger.
Like they could have ended it. I'd say that could be like, you've been cancelled. Like they could have just ended and then having nothing. So and then
so many shows are like, for me, I'm like, no, what?
Yeah, that's why
that's
why I hate to get invested in the show if it's like if it hasn't been renewed for a final season or like, because if it ends on the cliffhanger, I'm like, crap. The fuck, like crap,
Yeah.
It's like the final season that you guys put out, despite all the obstacles, it's not what I expected because I just didn't know what to expect. But it was.
Do we ever know what to expect?
Exactly, like we don't know. So I was like, I didn't even know. And then obviously the Tay's axe, and then they're not having Rael there for a few episodes. Like like the absence was felt, but again, you guys all pulled through. Despite everything that was going on, you still managed to deliver something different. Like having Scylla incorporated into the unit was like so important to me. And especially with Scylla and Tally's friendship too, the bonding you guys had too. Like it's something that
I was going to riot. I was ready to riot if I didn't get some screen time with Malia.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, no, the season that was meant to be shot was all about us being together on the front lines and being on the run, and we were going to not be separated. And then obviously the accident, and then how that had to force our writers to adapt. It basically adapt or die at that point, because we were into episode 2 and the train had left the station, and between Amanda Tapping, Brian Studler, Tracy Jeffrey, they were laying track. They were not looking back. They were just laying track.
Yeah,
And that's how it felt. And it brought a totally different dynamic to the forefront, which was Scylla being part of the core four, and just seeing her in a totally different space than she would be if Ray was there, and we would have told probably a different story altogether.
Yeah, exactly.
But what we ended up putting together, despite you feeling some of the cracks and the absence that I think that also kind of just somehow adds to the mystery and the magic of the art form itself. It's like,
but it felt, yeah, like with the absence,
I don't know.
It's like you felt her absence, but like they incorporated her absence into the story. So like they had that sense of urgency of trying to find her out, trying to get her back. Like there was that urgency of that. So it's like it worked with the story. So like, yeah, you felt it, but like you're supposed to feel it because you guys as the characters felt it too.
And I mean, also a beautiful result was just getting more scenes with Lynn and being able to develop more. I mean, going back to the matrifocal compound, I wanted to ask Elliot for so long if that was always an intentional thing, or was that something that then got concocted as a result of Tay's absence. Yeah, all of these rooms that decisions were made in that I wasn't privy to, but I stand back now, it's a trip thinking about that I was actually part of the process. Like I some way know, like I got kind of cognitive dissonance. It's like I know that I was there every day shooting.
But yeah, you don't really like,
but
like you don't realize
when I watched it, I can watch it as an audience member, and I'm not, I don't have that noisy inner critic going like, oh, Jess, no, not that moment. Like, what are you doing with your face? Or like, no, I don't believe you. I can sometimes get like that when I'm watching anything of mine.
Yeah,
I can't see past my own freaking fault line, and my
we
face.
are our biggest critic. So like that's what they say. We are our biggest critics. So it's like, oh,
sure. On those days, Adam, everything from your voice to your face, you're why am I the most just
yeah, dude, I can't even, if somebody watches like a reaction video of mine like in front of me, I'm like, don't you have to watch it away from me. Like I can't watch you watch me. Like I'm like, do it, don't in front of me.
Away.
I'm like, nah, I can't, because I'm like, oh my god, did I just do that? Like, I'm like, oh my god, stop on that. But I
was the same way for so long, and then I was challenged by an acting coach, Deb Badowski, who has been working with me. She's my coach now, beyond the show, but her and I just started working, and she's got such a beautiful way of going, if you don't watch yourself, how are you able to give anyone else criticism, and learning how to give yourself criticism, learning to see with almost a dispassionate view what works, what doesn't work, and why. Those are constructive answers, not just I hate it or it's like, get out of that insecure little girl and step into like the curator. And as an audience member, I was just so immersed. I'm so immersed in our show and story. I love that it does that to me. I love that I can just go under.
You guys care about it, and that's why the fans are drawn to it, because they know that you guys are as passionate as, and you got I feel like
we also didn't have enough. We didn't have enough time to really check in with each other as to like, we kind of knew who was shooting what day, but at some point you're just like motoring on because you've got the things that you got to do. You stop paying attention to like what's shooting and what arc's going on what. I mean, I remember Petra's scene with the pen.
Oh,
so I was there at the reading, like that happened, but we were reading.
Were you like, holy shit?
Petra, no, but we were reading. We were doing these table reads, and I have to say, I'm not a fan of these Zoom table reads. It's just not. You just do not get the same feeling as all being around a table.
Just reading it, like, yeah.
Feeling energy, reactions, all of it. So that was like lacking, right? But you're doing your best, you're reading the text, and then you go shoot it. But you go and shoot it, and you were shooting like 8-10 different story lines and one that are all going to converge, but you're not there yet.
Yeah.
So sitting back and watching it as an audience member, I get to see all of my co-stars' beautiful work. And I love that going like, holy shit, Kat fucking smashed it out of the ballpark.
Yeah, literally. Oh my god, yeah, you're right. Because you're like, and you get so proud because you're like, you know how hard they work, and you're like, holy shit. And you see you get brought to life, and you just the incredible actors and actresses that you work with. You're like, holy crap. You see it, and you're like, wow, you did that. Like that's in like you just yeah.
Even the blooper reels, my gosh, Victor saying the other one, I was like, he did not just, and then I couldn't help myself. I have to start like going, okay, well, I guess now I'm AKA the other one, AKA the ginger. Thanks, Bob. The ginger. Every time he said that, Bob Fraser is the most fantastic, fun, free, like he's just liberated. Like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure things scare him, but you question it because he's so unencumbered, he's so uncensored, and he can just let himself run. Like every take, no delivery is the same. He's always looking for something new. You have no idea what's going to be thrown at you. And you know how Albin read on the page and who he made Hurst to be in presence and form was just like, I could just watch that one-man show all day.
honestly, like
this can be a channel.
Literally, because it's like when you hate it, when you play a character who everyone has to hate, or the villain, like the work that goes into that, it's just like it takes a lot for you to, for the audience or for me to like hate somebody. It's like, damn, like this guy is so good at playing the villain. He's like, you hate it. It's like, but that's like what's so good about it, because it's like that's real acting. You hate the guy, but like he's
for
so
me
good.
I'm just like I'm scared of them because there's like their humanity is more than questionable. They're like almost, you know, like psychotic, apathetic, something, you know, indifference is like probably the most scariest thing, right? It's like when somebody just doesn't care, you know, they don't even have the energy to hate you, they just don't care. And they've totally dehumanized you and objectified you, and you're just,
nothing,
you know, a piece on the board. Exactly. So a play thingy. So I mean, I love Meryl Streep saying about how, you know, she loves playing the villains because you know, she gets to break her own rules, her own rules, and I love that. I really am looking forward to one day playing a questionable character.
I think you could kill that. Like, it's you could do it. You obviously could do it. Like, I would like to see that, because I think
I would too. I would love to be challenged. I would love to be challenged like that. I think I'm gonna put it out there in the universe. Come at me.
Yeah.
Come at me, like Hulu, HBO, A24. Just
Oh yeah, A24. Yeah.
Right? Some
I
dark.
Want to see in a horror movie. That would be so good.
My mother, when I tell her this, she goes, "No, don't put that out there. I don't want my baby to."
Oh, bless her.
I'm like, I know. Okay. But she is, out of everyone in my family, like the number one person who will watch a horror. So it's, you know, she's conflicted, but she's like, isn't that going to just put a lot on you? And I'm like, Mom, what I do is so, there's so much purpose in my play. But I've heard that horrors can be, I think Anya Joy Taylor said this when she was making The Witch, that you do like a weird counterbalance because it's so fucking intense what you're shooting. You automatically kind of find a levity off camera that everyone can just laugh and blow off steam and just, you know, balance out a bit. Otherwise you're just like living in that super feeling. Stories, movies. I can talk like this for hours, Adam.
I know. Oh my god.
Get back to the questions. The seating question. I answer the Todo question. I didn't.
Oh, that was the first question. But like, as we've spoken, like we've touched on stuff that like I was gonna ask anyway, which is good. Thank you for even being on for this long. Like, if you have to, like, you have to go. Like, go. Like, girl. Like,
I you know, I'm rolling into my Friday. I've got some self-care rituals that I
Yeah,
can't wait
feel
to
it.
like.
No, I'm
I'm
excited for
I
you.
have to say, Adam, what is your go-to? I want to know what you do for yourself for a date, and how often do you do it? Because this is a question I'm bringing
Ooh,
up with my friend.
ooh, what do I? So okay,
No,
so
yes.
what did I? So on it last, what it was the last week? No, what's today? Saturday. So on Wednesday,
Mhm.
I went to watch Bodies, 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 the new horror movie by myself. I went by myself. I took myself
Yes.
out. I was like, because like I had asked
Yes.
friends to come and I will be there, and I'm like, I'm still gonna go. Fuck it. Like, let me go.
I love
I was
going,
like, why
love
not?
going on dates with myself.
Yeah, I
And if
was
you
like,
don't, I think you fall in love with it because if you don't like your own company,
exactly. Because like usually my days is just like me watching like some TV shows or like whatever on Disney or Netflix. You know, I'm in my room. I'll just, I'll get some Uber Eats or like I'll get some food, just
yes,
like, just some
yes.
low key chill vibes. But like, when I was like, you know what? Let me go to the like, not everyone was busy. Like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna go to the movies. I want to see the movie. Let me go by myself. So I went by myself, had a little drink. There was like some ice cream. It was a cute little day. I'm not gonna lie. It was cute. I was like, you know what?
And
Yep.
how often do you give yourself that?
Actually, that was the first time I had gone to the movies alone. Actually, I hadn't always been with somebody else, but like that was like the first time I had actually gone like by myself. It wasn't that bad. I was like, oh yeah. I was like,
I think
like
I'm setting myself a challenge. Maybe you'll accept too.
okay,
Once a week, take yourself on a date.
okay,
It doesn't have to be extravagant or lavish, but I've been trying to, yeah, hold myself to that consistency. And it's so interesting. What happens is that you make every excuse in the book why you cannot be priority, why,
yeah,
the shopping has to be done, the cleaning has to be done, the to-do list, you have to be there for that friend, and it made me see some things I needed to see pretty clearly and go, okay. Sometimes it can just look like taking yourself off for a walk,
yeah.
or
Just some you time.
a lunch.
Yeah.
I love old books, bookstores. I can get lost in there for ages.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Well, I'm just wandering in the
You
shop.
know,
Like,
my productivity won't let me pause. I go, well, no, don't lose focus and lose time.
yeah.
Um, but I read somewhere that we really need time to think and to give ourselves space to think outside of like screen time, distractions, like while we're sometimes I go like, okay, I'm working out and listening to a podcast and trying to like scroll YouTube for like the next, dinner that I'm gonna cook for a friend or whatever. We're multitasking senselessly. And I started to go, yeah, we need to pause and
Yeah.
just find new ways in.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
always
hope
go and you just don't actually have time to like stop and just like,
I want that to be a hashtag on Twitter.
yeah.
We're gonna have to catchphrase it, but sometimes something about like date day for me.
Yeah.
We'll think about it.
Just like,
Yeah,
well, date
because
night, date night, like, yeah,
mental health in general is just
self-love,
like,
like something self-love, something, because it's so important. Like, it's just so important. Because again, like, like you said, we are complete on our own. Like, we don't
oh,
need,
yes.
we are complete.
And like we don't even, like how beautiful would it be if that, I went out when the waiter says, will somebody be joining you, and you go, no,
Yeah.
that you announce that loud and proud that isn't something that you feel kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm here
And it could be
alone.
a scary thought because you think you're gonna get judged. It could be really scary, like going and when I went by myself, I was like, oh crap. Like the girl was like, oh, do you have somebody else? Do you have a plus one? I'm like, no, it's just me today. It's just me.
Me, myself, and I,
Yeah.
baby.
I was
And
laughing with myself. It was great.
this was also a conversation we can maybe segue back to the Todo. It's just like, I know that there was like a need to ship off so many characters, and of course understand why.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was just like, I think it was like off the responses of like Tally can be shipped with anyone,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
I take as a great compliment because that
yeah.
is what I try to do with the character and the way that she just is so present with everyone. And so
Yeah, that's
empathetic.
like
And she just
Tally.
connects.
Yeah.
She
Like you
just
and S.
connects.
Yeah. The scene with you and S was like, oh, I was shipping. I was shipping. I was like,
The
okay.
seer, the seer. But I loved also that it was just two friends having a fireside chat, and
Yeah.
that relationship can just be that, you know, it can just
Exactly.
be
Well, exactly.
the
Like,
right encouraging word. Like how beautiful was that in Tally's blindness, of course, ironic since she's a seer or knower, that, you
yeah,
know,
she sees
she
it.
needed them at that time to say those words and say, and those words being, I see you, Tally Craven.
Exactly. It's ironic because, you know, as you said, she's a seer, but she needed them to say,
But
like,
again,
people to say,
she's Tally is just human. She needs a reminder herself. And it, you know, it kind of it brings back to what Petra said to Alder when she said, I think you just got that you were human. We all do. And we all need those people like Petra and S to come and say, I see you, you
yeah,
know. You might not be seeing yourself. And I don't think it's possible. That was also another question that I was asking is like, is it ever possible that we really see the world as it is, or do we see it as we are?
yeah,
And then if we do, is that reflection, you know, is that reflection our only reflection to us? Like we can't see ourselves unless it's reflected in another person. And I think that's why the mentorship between Alder, Nicta, Tally was continuously seeing different reflections in that this could be a path she could have gone down.
yeah,
You know, and I think for Nicta and Alder, it was like seeing a younger version of themselves at the beginning before they made their beds and, you know, chose their choices.
yeah,
Um, yeah, oh, man, there was just so many beautiful moments and circles of completion.
yeah.
But
It's
I come back to
yeah.
it going like, I know, I know, our G&T was brought back in, Gregorio, and
How did you feel about that when you saw that?
I
Like,
I kind of,
I
well,
missed him.
he was supposed to be there really up front for most of the season, except for the fact that brilliant Praneet had to go and get his own lead on a show.
Oh, how dare he, King, killing
Dare
him.
the man be that brave? Um, so he rightfully so his schedule was unavailable for a lot of it, and then we were just fortunate enough to get him at the top and tail.
Yeah, it was good to have him back.
And it was great. I mean, from a scene partner point of view, oh my gosh, we get on. I mean, we have mischievous amounts of fun together. And we're just like, we are on the same wicket, man. Like we're just goofballs. And so I mean, besides from the fun that we had, there was a question in my mind where I was going like, you know, if this is going to be the third and final chapter, I just feel like it's going to be rushed to like pair off Tally with anyone right now. And it's not like she
yeah,
gives,
I know.
you know, if anyone has really done the miles, it is Alder. Like the fans are right. Like it is Alder. It is that relationship
Yeah,
that has been her primary outside of her unity, which of course is like paramount. But it's that, and yet that relationship is mentor, mother, daughter, younger, older self. I don't know. It's just like it's layered and it's complex, and
yeah,
I love it for all of it. Its subtlety, its simplicity. It's beautiful. I wouldn't want it any other way, and I was pretty darn happy to leave it off going, what's wrong with being single? Like Tally can ship herself. We can be a ship unto ourselves.
literally, like, I love like, telling Gregorio, like, I was like, you know, who wouldn't fall in love with Tally? Like, Gregorio, like, it's fair. Like, I mean, like, you would fall in love with Tally, like,
We
of course,
needed somebody.
valid. Literally, like, and you know what? Tally deserved to get some dick. Okay, listen, like, she
And
could
also,
go off.
can I just talk about how much I appreciate the bromance happening between Tony and Praneet's characters? I was like, every time they were
Yes.
on screen, I was just shipping them. I was just like,
Literally, I was like, hello? Like, oh my God. I loved it. I thought it was great. Every interaction was just, oh, it was great. Everything. That's, oh, nah. But yeah, like, I was like, if Tally was single, like, I wouldn't be opposed. I was like, You know, she's been
I
freewheeling the whole time. At this
I
point.
I think that it was, yeah, I mean, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And I was at that point when we were shooting and we were getting the story as it was coming off fresh off the press. I was operating so much and so single focused because I was just like, it's the whole show. It's this, we're making the season, and that's all that matters. I wasn't really kind of giving my notes on how I personally felt about the story. I was just going like, yes, this is tomorrow's shooting.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But by the time we were at the wedding and we were dancing and then making out on that hallway, that picture, I love that line, by the way. That line was, I was thinking if any line was going to be cut, it was going to be that.
Yeah.
I thought it would be too cheeky.
No,
but
I love. That's my favorite Lonnie joke. I fucking loved that. I was like, okay.
let her watch.
You know what? I was in my reaction. I was like, imagine if that was like a picture of Oda. I would have collapsed on the floor. I would have actually died.
No, Adam. Although now I think you've given fans incentive to now edit and Photoshop Alder's face into that painting.
Literally.
And I think we did like 2 takes of that because David, the director of Nine, he knew exactly what he wanted. It was a oneer, and he was just gonna sneak up on us and push in for that line. It was I love oneers. I'm just a huge fan of oneers. Yeah. Because you get so much undisturbed time, there's a lot of action cut. Okay, let's go. Action cut.
You get to like feed.
Just roll. Let's just roll with it.
And then you just roll and see what happens. If they did that with you and Lynn, I'm like, listen, we would have had to be going like HBO. We had to move networks at this point because I feel like you would have been like, listen.
There was a tweet about the X-Files coming back, and I think in my Christmas jumper with the like cream sweater, I tended to kind of look like Scully a little bit. And I'm just like, please, can we have like an X-Files like adaptation, and then I can just be partners of crime.
I'm telling you, those like procedural shows or whatever, literally you and Lynn, I'm telling you, it would be.
Make it happen. Adam, make it happen.
I will make it happen. I will make a YouTube mini series, and you two can just like do what you want on there. Like it's gonna happen. Like I'm gonna manifest. Like let's do it.
I think we're on this a wavelength, because that's something's coming. Something is coming.
I'm so excited. But whatever it is.
Enough about that. We have 16 minutes left. What do you want to ask me?
Oh my god!
Date me through some questions.
Okay. The way I had actually turned my phone off because I was like, we're just talking. Okay. We're talking about things that, hold on. We talked about the Scylla thing, Tally's bomb is Scylla. Love that little friendship that they had. It was everything.
Yes, me too.
Go to the fight scene in episode 10. That was so good. That was so good.
Thanks to Andrea, my stunt double, for making me look like a badass witch.
Yes.
Reese and his stunt team were just chef's kiss this entire season. But I mean, so I thought that was going to be like, the stunt scene that was going to be like of the season. But I am sorry, that award and podium goes to Emily Isadora's. That was like, I had again, it was like Petra's pen scene. I was going like, oh my. And to watch the finale next to M, we were all at Tay's house. She was stuck in Europe. She had to come. Yeah. She was like, I'm going to host. I'm like, great. And then she's like, I'm not going to make it to my own party. And Keenan, her roommate, was like, okay, it's still happening. Everyone meets still at Tay's house, and we're just going to roll on through. And I'm like, okay. And we're all sitting there on the couch. And in the show, Isadora is cackling, saying that, the mother is going to like kill Hurst and all of the cam.
Yeah.
And she lets out this wicked cackle, like a witch's cackle. And there she is, not missing a beat. She cannot stop laughing. And her cackle is coming back. She's now I'm watching two Emily. Isadora and Emily. And I'm just going like, I'm just going to live tweet this moment. This is happening. It was just like, oh man, to just celebrate such great work. But that sequence by far and away was like the best. Ours, of course, was very badass, very cool.
Yes. It was a good scene.
A lot of it I actually couldn't do myself. So Andrea was like she was my girl all season, my number one.
Yeah. And stunt doubles, I feel like they don't get appreciated enough for all
they really don't. They don't. And like they're often coming in at the end for the wides, and they're having to do crazy stuff. Like you're just going, oh my gosh, I don't know how you do that. Like, how do you not just have like no self-preservation and no fear, except the fact that you understand that they have been practicing for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and are like experts at like how to move our bodies so that it looks like it got hurt, but it actually didn't. The stories were just crazy. But yeah, I wish I'd taken more behind scenes. It was hard to carry a camera on set. Oftentimes I'm like away from my phone when I'm like logged into shooting. Both Lynn and I are like that, but we did try take more moments to savor. There is so many more behind the scene pictures that I have of the sets. I have to post more.
Yeah.
And I still have one gigantic appreciation post to the crew that's coming. It's all coming. It's all coming. I thought I would just like stretch it out and make it last. Savor it.
Savoring it, because like just because you don't want it to end, and it's like
you didn't want it. But what I was like thinking back to that day was one of the last days. I think it was the second last day that we shot, because the very last day was the very last scene in the fuselage, and Lynn's hanging out of the helicopter, and she's saying this line. We're having to say and
no, that's
and it was such a I just made a pact with myself in my trailer. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, Jessica, you will pull yourself together today, because I wanted to give a little speech to thank our crew and just everything that this journey had given me, and to say it with eloquence and not to be hijacked by emotion, which had happened season 2 and 1. I could not. I was a mess the last day. But of course, every last day of season 1 and 2 was like on a cliff hanger. It was going dum 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 dum. But this time, got to end on the note of hope. And so Amanda also just kept reminding us. She was just like, "You're not gonna. This is not. Don't cry. Do not let your emotions of said moment influence this moment."
Save it for afterwards. Just let the tears stream afterwards. Yeah, it was a great final scene. Like I love. It was so good. The way it was. I don't know. It was just a beautiful. I think it was a great. Despite everything, it was like a really great way to end the show.
Yeah,
I feel like obviously everyone wants more, but like I feel like to end it like that, it left it open, but also it was just like it felt complete in a way,
It did.
Like I always want more, but it was a nice.
And you know what? I'm gonna savor that.
Yeah.
Because that completion is not something that most shows get, and that again, for an exceptional show, an exceptional ending. So that kind of came full circle. I'm very, very, very grateful for it, for everything. Oh man.
Oh, we're grateful for you.
What a life. What a life.
Okay,
one more question, and then I've got to find my quote from my latest book to just tagline this.
I don't know if I have any more questions. Like that was like my last question was like, were you happy with the ending? But you were, so like that's it. Like it.
I mean, the ending being the evolution, right?
Mm,
Like, again, I guess I'm just really contemplating on, do things really ever end? And if the mother has taught me something,
yeah,
it is that endings are but beginnings,
exactly. It
and
really felt
again,
like the ending. It was a new beginning, and like,
can I share something
of
that
course,
was shared to me by Brian, who let on that, not that it was necessarily going to play into the story,
yeah,
but he wanted to give us an idea of where the characters were going to go, like, beyond beyond the page.
yeah.
And he said, so I think Scylla and Ray end up back in the session,
Oh wow.
right? Yes,
Ooh,
an impact and living a life of probably beautiful simplicity, much like their lighthouse.
yeah.
um can't remember, Abigail and the Dill, I believe, and kind of go and form a UN of like witches of the world,
Oh shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as kind of the as kind of yeah, the sky and earth that they are.
Yeah, because yeah, but they're the union, and like they could
I,
probably.
Ashley might correct me on that, but I just remember, like, they're the bridges between so many um worlds,
Mm,
of which, you know army and beyond.
yeah.
And Hallie was going to end up being general,
Oh!
which I was like, that's right. I was like, yeah. I think first reaction was like, what?
Yeah.
That Oh wait, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, yeah,
I
literally
told
though.
you.
But do people know this? Do fans know that that was supposed to be the ending? Or like,
No, it was. So it wasn't. I don't think it was
well,
ever
not the
going
ending,
to.
but like, do they know
They
that
were
that's
going.
what was planned?
I don't think so. And
So
I
they
feel
will
like
find
I could.
out.
I feel like I could share that because that was part of like just the brief character outline
Mm.
of, yeah, life beyond the page. And I love that. It did really help in terms of finding, going, okay, so that's the leadership that I'm needing to cultivate, a
Yeah.
lot more discernment. And yeah, I know, you just kind of you just form a visual map for yourself. And it kind of was my character secret as well.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, she was number one poster child. I mean, she was absolutely the girl that had the Sarah Alder poster
Yeah.
smuggled away behind, her closet so that her mother didn't find out that all she wanted to do was join the army. And, you know,
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Like when you think about it, like it does like I mean you just saw my reaction. I was like, fuck, I wish I could have seen that. But like it makes so much sense for a character, and I'm like, crap. Like it's
and for and also, I mean, the one person that I would have loved to have acted more with, besides from M, was Kat. We
yeah.
had that beautiful like two scene moment where there was like a kind of an allyship, yeah, it's allyship line,
Allyship. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
an
Yeah.
allyship.
Yeah, yeah,
Gosh, words are getting interesting. But there was going to be alignment of sorts where she kind of discovers that I know more than I'm saying, and that she can kind of, we could help each other.
yeah.
And I remember in our final, like after the storm session of the finale, they were, asked, who would you be tutored by next or mentored by? And I'm like, Kat, Petra, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I want to know more. The woman's got so many tricks up her sleeve, and
Oh,
she's just so not what she appears. She's quite, she's a very different general to Sarah.
yeah.
And yeah, she leads with such discernment and yet discretion. And yeah, I just love watching Kat all
She
season
nails
long.
every scene. She's just been incredible. I can't remember.
Every scene.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
I'm
Tell me your
trying.
quote. Tell me your quote. Okay.
Maybe it's a sad one, but I read it today and I felt moved by it. So I'm going to share it because
All right.
why not?
Why not? Exactly. Why not?
So this is a quote from Louise. Okay, I hope I'm saying her name right. Louise Edrich, The Painted Drum. I don't know if it's a book or a poem, but it goes, life will break you. Nobody can protect you from that. And living alone won't either. For solitude will also break you with its yearning. You have to love. You have to feel. It is the reason you're here on earth. You're here to risk your heart. You're here to be swallowed up. And when it happens that you are broken or betrayed or left or hurt or death brushes near, let yourself sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples falling all around you in heaps, wasting their sweetness. Tell yourself that you tasted as many as you could.
Holy shit. I have goosebumps, girl. Are you serious?
Like words, right? Power of words. And they are our seeds and they are our song.
Yeah.
And there is something in that seed, in that song, that I felt really speaks to the beautiful fragility and impermanent, it's all fleeting, this life. Nothing is permanent. And I love that line, that wasting their sweetness and that you tasted all you could. And I think coming back to the fundraiser, coming back to the show, coming back full circle to this whole beautiful, sweet, savoring conversation is just the power of presence and how healing it can be. It is really love that surpasses understanding. 100%. So I thank you for yours and for sharing yours with me and this beautiful facilitation and moderation and space. And I feel very blessed to have been invited. Thank you.
I feel blessed to even have you, give me this much of your time, like almost 2.5 hours. Like,
edit
holy shit, girl.
The crap out of it, Adam. Edit the crap out of it.
Edit what? The whole thing is the whole thing is beautiful. Like, how can I edit anything? It's like the whole just
okay, fine.
Like, I'm gonna literally just I'll have to do multiple videos. Like, I'm gonna have to do multiple. I'll be like, I'll do Jessica week. You'll just be like, just a whole week. Like, I'm not joking.
5 months of 5-minute clips, just little segments. I could imagine. Just do it. Little apple slices.
Oh man, I'm gonna have work to do, but I appreciate you. Can I take a quick screenshot?
My darling. Did it work?
Yeah, well, did
I look like I had like
no, you look good. No, you look you look stunning. Shut up. Okay.
I made an effort today because I needed to. I felt, when you feel it, you're like, no, we will not have another pajama day today. I am not negotiating with myself.
I love it. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining me and giving this much of your time, because I truly appreciate it. This conversation was honestly unexpected. I didn't think it was going to turn into that, but I
love that you just rolled with it. I'm sorry that I continuously just take us off to weird.
No, never apologize. I told you my questions are backups. Like, I just knew that we would talk, and I was buddy next time. Like, I was like, I rolled. I'm like, let's do this. Like, I just found it so interesting, so enlightening, and it's just so good to like have that conversation. So I'm thank you for opening up, being so open with me with this in this conversation. And like, it's
Adam, keep creating, okay? Promise me, pinky promise.
A pinky promise. I will keep creating, okay?
Your platform has purpose. You have immense value and worth, and what you need to share with the world, only you can.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
From my heart to yours.
All right, guys, true, Blue. Thank you for joining me again. I can say thank you, but that's it, guys. Thank you, Jessica, Jess, and you know what? We'll chat again soon. Like, I don't care what I'll be hitting you up next year. Be like, girl, we'll do like an annual thing. Like, we're just gonna chat. Like, I'm for it. All right, Jess, go enjoy your Friday night. I love you.
Thanks, Adam.
Enjoy, okay?
Love you back. Bye.
Bye.